Dinner just got played, and we are gaming through mechanisms. Well, what does that mean? So mechanisms are the ways that we talk about board games, how a player interacts with a board game. We classify all those interactions as different mechanisms. Helps us talk about games and categorize games. And today we're talking about a very specific mechanism, which is tableau building. So I don't know where that name came from. Tableau is French, I think, for picture is what it means. Oh. So I guess theoretically you're building a picture in front of you. But the general idea is you have a bunch of stuff in front of you that you are collecting over time and building up your own little personal collection. There's a little bit of disagreement between some people about engine building versus tableau building. Some people say for it to be, if it's just set collection like Sushi Go, that's not a tableau builder, that you need to have things in your tableau that you can sort of activate that make your actions different and better. So, there's no real consensus again here. And I don't know what games everybody here is going to pick. But in general, you're going to have a bunch of stuff in front of you, and you're probably going to do stuff with the stuff. So I think maybe we can fit some games in that definition. All right, cool. So let's start off. We're going to go around. Each one of us is going to say our two favorite games that we consider to be the best tableau builders. And then we also have two people's choice that we'll talk about at the end. But anyway, let's start with the favorite tableau builder for Tiffany.
So I have to say my favorite is chosen because the game is beautiful and it's a lot of fun. But it's just such a really great table presence that I can't not pick it. But my first choice is Everdell. So Everdell is a worker placement game where you are a particular kind of critter in the forest, and you are taking turns taking actions, whether you are using actions from the main board or you're maybe using actions from a neighbor because they've placed an action down that you're going to use, or you've placed actions in your tableau that you're going to use. So it's a really fun worker placement game that is a tableau builder. But it also comes with a 3-dimensional tree that is part of the setup, and you put the extra meeples on there that you unlock as the game goes on. And it's really a great game. It's really a lot of fun, and it's really nice to look at. And it's Everdell. That's my favorite tableau builder.
Yeah, it comes with this 3D tree that my sausage fingers knock the stuff off of instead of being able to place. Yeah, sure.
The dexterity game.
It's a dexterity game. Yeah, no, it is. It's a good worker placement game. It is a pretty game. I personally am not a big fan of Everdell, but it is undeniably a very popular tableau builder game.
I like Everdell. It's very cute. I agree. And I think it's deeper than it seems, which is kind of weird. I mean, just not to go off on a huge tangent here, but the rules are like 3 pages, really, because everything's on the cards. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, all right, well, on your turn, you do this, this, or this. That's it. At the end, we're going to count up points. And that's really the instructions, because everything going on is on those cards. And there's a whole lot of different interactions and built-in interactions that can happen in the game. Whereas if I put out a certain card, then it gives me the ability to put another card out for free because they're linked. And not only are there those actions, but other kinds of cooperative things going on between the different things that you can chain them out to make really cool effects. It has one kind of weird thing going on in it, which is the game happens over seasons. So you go spring, summer, fall, etc. All right. But you individually get to the end of the season and then keep going on. So it's entirely possible you're in summer and I'm still in spring, because unlike other games, like when spring ends, it doesn't just shut down, everybody stop, and we'll wait for everybody to catch up. No, you just keep taking your turns. Now you're into summer and I'm still working on spring. But it introduces a really cool mechanism where at the end of the season, you pull all your workers back. So you can kind of time that out sometimes. If somebody's on a space that you want, then maybe drag your turns on a little bit longer than you normally would, so that you wait until they end their season, pull their stuff back, and then you can plop down on their spot real quick. So I really like a lot of the different things going on. Like I said, I think it's a little deeper than it seems to be, especially once you start figuring in these kinds of interactions on top of everything else. But I know Babe enjoys it a lot, and I always enjoy playing it with her. So sorry to jump on the bandwagon, but
well, I will just say, I think maybe if I played this game with you all, I would like it better. I have had the unfortunate experience of playing this game 3 times with people who are AP prone, and I think this game brings out AP in people badly.
I can't disagree with that, because somebody across the table from you might have an action that you might want to use. So AP people are going to be so distracted by all the different things, and like, oh, what's he have over there? Kind of. So I see that. For sure.
Yeah. And it also has this weird thing that you were just talking about, but it means that twice when I've played this game, I walked away and came back 10 minutes later and then walked away in 15 minutes later to find out if I won the game or not, because people were still doing stuff. So yeah, it's like I come back 15 minutes later. Did I win? Yeah, you won. Oh, cool. Thanks. I'm already playing for sale over there. I'm almost done. All right, cool. Everdell, definitely a good pick. That was one of the ones that was popular with the people as well. All right, Lloyd, why don't you tell us what's your favorite Tableau builder? Tell us how much you love Tableau builders first.
Right here, I've got JJ's Judges on speed dial. The reason why is because when I started looking through the family mechanism Tableau builder on BGG, all of my worst enemies popped up at the top. And I was like, I don't like any of these games. Like they're all like fighting words if you say them. I don't want to play those games. But when I changed them to rank order, there were a few that were up near the top, under the Terraforming Marses and some other ones that I didn't immediately think of as Tableau builders. And one of those, and I'm going to extrapolate out from this pick that's on there because it's the similar game, but I like it better. But one of the ones they have on there is Marvel Champions as a Tableau builder. The reason why is because throughout the game, most of the cards you're playing are going out in front of you so that you can take them as actions throughout the game. So based on the definition of a Tableau builder, it's cards or components or things you put in front of you that enhance the actions of the game that you're playing. So you're not playing a lot of, there are some cards that you play and they go right into your discard pile, but that game is a Tableau builder because a lot of the cards go out in front of you and they stay there. However, there's a game I like better that's in the same vein, but it's not listed because BGG likes to not list things or tag them. So I'm actually going with Sentinels of the Multiverse. And I like that one better because it's doing the same thing as Marvel Champions, but it takes out the deck construction element of Marvel Champions, which I don't really like so much. It gives you a pre-built deck, but the idea in this game, it's a full co-op. The idea is there's a bad guy. You have to take the bad guy down with your collection of heroes. There's also an environment that's in play that's constantly putting cards out every round. So the villain is building his own tableau of bad guys and bad weapons and stuff, things that are happening. The environment's building its own little world over there. And then all the players are putting cards out that give you access to new powers, allow you to, put up shields, or they increase your powers. So it didn't really fit as a Tableau builder in my brain. But by the definition of, if you read the definition on BGG, the fact that it includes cards, components, player boards, basically anything that you can put out that is not just collecting, but is instead changing your actions or giving you different actions in the game. I was like, wow, Marvel Champions, that fits. So Sentinels of the Multiverse definitely fits because it's the same game without the complication of deck building. And I think it's in my list to do a versus of those two to say why, the differences between them. But yeah, I didn't think I liked Tableau builders, but sure, throw Sentinels of the Multiverse at me, and yeah, I'm a fan of Tableau builders.
It's a pretty broad category, right? So I was sure you could find something, hopefully two somethings in that category.
That was one of them. I wouldn't classify it the way I would think of it. I was thinking like hand management or stuff like that, but which it's in there, but because you're playing those cards in front of you and a lot of them stay there, it's changing. It's fitting that definition. So
yeah, I mean, that's classic Tableau building. So, all right, cool. Erock, what do you think about Tableau building? What's your number one?
Okay. So it's been a little while since I talked about this game, but this is one of my current favorite games, and that is Ark Nova. I love Ark Nova. This is interestingly enough, it's not actually categorized in that family on the Geek, so this is one of those that is not fitting the category, as it were. But it's absolutely, just like I'm sure at some point somebody's going to talk about Terraforming Mars, it's basically that kind of game, where you do have a board and you're working on that. And there's other things going on in the game as well, like with the, what are they called? The association tasks and things like that, and working with other universities and things like that. But there are things that you put out in front of you. Most notably are the animals and the sponsors that you get. These will all go out in front of you. And much like many other games that do this kind of a thing, you collect essentially tags, which is the Terraforming Mars name for it. But basically it's icons. So you put these icons out in front of you, and then certain things trigger off of how many icons are out at any point in time, and as you build the different icons and things like that. And then meanwhile, the associations are also giving you special powers. So this is kind of what the Tableau building part of this game is. In a nutshell, the real hook to this game is the way that you choose your actions. All right, so you have 5 cards that are your actions. You might be able to upgrade them, meaning flip them over and get a more powerful version of the same thing. But generally speaking, those are the only actions you have in the whole game, are these 5 actions. All right. And then you have a board in front of you that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At the beginning of the game, you put the animals in the one spot, you mix up the rest and throw them out there. And that's how you start the game, and you just move on from there. And the way it works is the higher up the number on the card, the more powerful the effect is of that card. So as an example, if I play build at level 1, I can build a 1-sized encampment, or whatever you want to call it, zoo space or a kiosk or whatever. But if I build it at a 5, no, I think I'm saying that wrong. No, that's right. But if I build it at a 5, I can build up to a 5-space enclosure. So all the cards are like this. Now, like I said, these are 5 different actions. They're not all exactly like that. They have, but the point is, when you use it, then it moves to the front of the line and pushes all the other ones down. So ideally, you'd want to use them all at their 5 value. But it doesn't actually work out that way, because sometimes I don't need a 5 to play this. All I really need is a 3 to play this. So it's much more economical and efficient to play it at the 3 than trying to work its way all the way down to 5, because now I'm probably wasting some part of that extra awesome action that I just built up. But I really, really like this game. I like the theme a lot. It's basically build your personal zoo. And you build your cages, you put the animals in it, and everything kind of rolls off of and tricks off of each other with all these different icons and these themes that you collectively get together. The one big criticism of the game is that there's a ton of cards, and it's really hard to plan to work specific things. Like, as an example, bears kind of work off of each other. But just the way because there's so many cards and the way the game works, you might never see another bear again. That's just the way the game goes. So if that was your whole thing from the beginning was, I'm going to do the bear thing, it's just not going to happen. So it's very tactical in that way. Like, yes, you have these like cloud of strategic thoughts going on of, I hope I can do these different things. But then when it's your turn, you just do the best you can with what's available to you. And I really, really, really enjoy that kind of game. If you've watched a handful of our videos, I'm sure you've heard me say that. That's my favorite type of game, is what can I do right now to make the most of the situation that I'm in? And this is one of those games. I absolutely love it. If anything, it might be a little bit long, but that is not a strike in my book. I love Ark Nova.
It is not a strike in my book either, but it is the reason I have not been able to play it yet.
Indeed. Hopefully soon.
But Ark Nova rocketing up the charts is one of our...
It's at number 4 now. That is
Wow.
crazy to me. I like this game a lot and was stunned when I saw it at 4. was like, oh,
So is
wow.
Terraforming Mars at 3 and Jaws of the Lion got bumped to 5? Is that what we're talking about? Yeah, I don't know.
I knew this 30 seconds ago, and if you wait
Well, it's
for
probably
me-
different now. 30 seconds ago. Come
Yes,
on, that's
it's-
it bumped Terraforming Mars to 5. That's correct.
Oh wow! And Jaws of the Lion is at 4? Wow, or 3 or something.
Jaws of the Lion is 6. It goes
Oh,
Gloomhaven,
well.
Brass Birmingham.
It's yesterday's news.
it's
6?
yesterday's
Come on, Jaws of the
news,
Lion,
yes.
Throw it away.
Indeed. Yeah, I'm surprised by that as well, because I think much like you, I was expecting Jaws of the Lion to slowly creep up to the number 1 spot and bump Gloomhaven out. But apparently, Gloomhaven is rock solid as the number 1 for a little while longer anyway.
Yeah,
We'll
it'll
see.
get replaced eventually, but we'll see what does it. All right. Well, so for my number 1 Tableau builder, when we started talking about what next video should we do for mechanisms, I think somebody in our Discord channel suggested Tableau building. So we're like, all right, cool. We haven't done that yet. And there's just one game that immediately pops into my head when you say Tableau builders, and that is Race for the Galaxy. I think actually Race for the Galaxy uses the term Tableau in the rule book. This may actually even be the game that first used the term Tableau in the rule book.
It might be. It's
And
ancient.
sort of kicked off that usage of the term in the industry. So Race for the Galaxy is there's kind of a lot going on in the game. There's a lot of cards in the deck, but there are mechanisms to fish for cards that you might want as well. But you have to decide, what am I going to do this turn? What action do I want to make sure gets done? Consume, produce, develop, settle, explore, all the different choices. And that decision is really important because not only whichever action you choose to do, everybody gets to do, but you get to do it with a little bit of a bonus. But also if an action doesn't get chosen by any of the players, it just doesn't happen. So you might be thinking, well, I really need to consume this turn, but man, I want to build this development and I need that extra bonus for having chosen development to be able to do it. So you just sort of gamble like, well, it looks like Erock's got a lot of production over there. I bet he's going to consume this turn. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do this. And then Erock settles and you're like, I didn't get to consume, because nobody chose it. So there's that interesting tension. But the Tableau building part is you're putting down these planets in front of you. And so you can either settle these planets or you can invade them via military. And you can also put down developments by building them. And so you're building this tableau of up to, well, I guess you can have more, but if you build 12, it triggers the end of the game. And that's just one of the ways to trigger the end of the game. You can also consume all the victory points so that the pool is dead, and that triggers the end of the game too. But that tableau, and those developments do things for you, right? And so, and some of the other things, like they give you the military to be able to, in order to invade planets that need to be invaded versus military, or, they give you some discount on doing something else. And one of the interesting ways that you build the developments and you settle planets is you pay for them with cards in your hand. So even if you get like a bad draw, like cards you don't even want, you're like, well, these cards don't go with my strategy. That's expensive. I'm never going to build that or whatever. It doesn't matter because you just use them to pay for things. So yeah, it's got a lot going on. It's a real classic game. It's probably could use a refresh because the iconography is hard to crack if you're a new player. I know a lot of people say that they will only play this with players who know how to play it. Nobody wants to teach a newbie. I don't mind teaching newbies. I've taught several groups of people how to play the game. I think it's not that bad, but it is slow, right? And I think that's probably people's bigger concern with it, because if people know how to play this game, it's just bam, 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 bam.
Super fast. If
you
know
play
what
this
to
in
do.
Board Game Arena, it takes you like 10 minutes. Or
Yeah,
something.
8 to 10 minutes for a whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, if I've got players who've never played before, it's going to take us an hour and a half to get through a game in person. Of course, you do with the cards and stuff too that you don't deal with in BGA. But it's a great game, and you're definitely building a tableau of planets and developments. And I'm probably not the only person that when you say Tableau builder, this is bam, what jumps to their head. Race for the Galaxy.
I'm going to jump on your bandwagon here, Steve, because really this is my number 1. I just knew somebody was going to talk about it because it's so awesome. And, it's just a great game. I absolutely love it. I just want to agree with you. Really what they should do is they should reprint this game and do what they did in Roll for the Galaxy to this game. And that would make it infinitely more playable and accessible to everybody in the world, except the people that have been playing it for 10 years like it is now. You know what I'm saying? So Do that. If
Which,
you're listening.
And what they've done, by the way, is enroll for the galaxy at the bottom of all the tiles. It just in English explains.
It tells you what it does. Yes.
So if you are new and you don't just immediately recognize the iconography, you just read the thing, and you don't have to stop and get the cheat sheet or ask somebody, "What's this card do?" Like
it just tells you what it does. Exactly.
Yeah, much better. All right, cool. Well, so why don't you go ahead and tell us what your number 2 is then? Or your number 3, since Race for the Galaxy was really...
Yes, indeed. I like to cheat the system here and there.
Yeah, we've noticed.
Indeed. Okay, so my number 2 game, we actually talked about this one quite a bit as well, but I really like this game, and I know Babe's probably going to completely agree with me, and if she had a choice number 3, I bet this was going to be it, and that choice is Underwater Cities. I love this game. This is another one of those that if there's a gripe about it, it's a bit long, and it's a bit long. I mean, really, but quite frankly, I think this is an excellent 2-player game. Now, it's a 2 to 4-player game, and we've played it at many player counts, but I think you get almost the same experience with a 2-player game playing this as you do in a 3 or 4-player game, minus the time. Because it's modular, so you have a special 2-player board to use for this. Essentially, this game's really cool. It has a card board mechanism where I have a hand of 3 cards, and I can play one of them on my turn. And there are 3 colors in the game. There's red, there's yellow, and there's green. And each one of them, there's a row of them, of these action spaces on the board. So on one side of the board, there's a row of green. On one side of the board, there's a row of red. On one side of the board, there's a row of yellow. And these are all action spaces that you can do various things, like build tunnels and build biodomes and build algae plants and all this other stuff that you build in the game. And then you also have a hand of cards, and they're in the same colors. And the way it works is, if you play a card that matches the color of the space that you go to with your worker, then you get to use both the card and the space. If you don't match the card to the space, then you only get to use the space. So ideally, you always want to match because you get an extra action out of that. But sometimes in the game, something is so important that you absolutely need to get done right now. You're willing to throw that card. I don't care. I need that space, and I need that space before Babe gets there. So and I don't have that color right now. I don't care. I'm going to lose the value of this card just to get in that space. I really like that part of the tension of this game. I like the way that everything pairs up. I don't remember the order specifically offhand, but one of the colors is really strong board actions and really weak card actions. One of the colors is the opposite. Really weak board actions, really strong card actions. And one of them's basically in the middle for both things. So I like the way this whole thing balances out. You end up collecting a ton of cards that you build up in your Tableau that kind of give you extra bonuses here and there, different scoring options and things like that. That builds up over the course of the game, and it's a fantastic ride. Babe and I have enjoyed every game we've played of this. We would probably play it at the drop of the hat. The only thing that really holds us back is it's a long game. So if it's a Tuesday night and it's 8:00, we're probably not playing this because it's probably going to be 2 to 3 hours, even with just the 2 of us going on. But if you have the time and the inclination, I highly recommend Underwater Cities. It's one of our all-time favorite games in our collective top 10, I'm sure.
Nice. Well, I don't know if Underwater Cities is Tiffany's number 3, but I would like to hear what her number 2 is.
Well, you made the comment when you were talking about your game, Stephen, that you were sure you wouldn't be the only person that liked it. And you were right. My number 2 is Race for the Galaxy.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yay, babe!
So good.
I'm so proud.
we play so much of this on Board Game Arena. When you're you can on Board Game Arena, where you're not actually dealing with real cards, if you have people that know how to play, you can play a game of this in 5 minutes. I mean, it's super quick. So we love, the joke in our home is that we play until I win, which that might be 3 games, and that might be 8 games, and that might be 15 games. Who knows? But
every once in a while, it's 1 game.
Yeah, sometimes. And then I'm like, all right, we're done. I'm going out on a high note. But sometimes we have to play more than that for me to win. But it's just such a great game, and it's accessible for people that know the iconography. It's not accessible for anybody else, but it's fun and it's quick and it's on Board Game Arena. So, that's nice.
Coming into this, I thought I had your number 1 and number 2 picked, and I got them both wrong.
Oh no!
I'm totally surprised. But hey, Race for the Galaxy, great game. It's not going to be on Lloyd's list, I don't think. But I'll just go ahead and spoil it right now. This was the People's Choice number 2 game.
Okay.
The only reason they were wrong because it wasn't number 1.
Well, yeah, you won't be surprised at number 1, I don't think. So.
Probably not. Yes.
All right, Lloyd, what is your number 2 though?
Well, I might like Race for the Galaxy, but it's one of those things where I played it once. I was thrown into it. No one explained much of anything. They just wanted the player. And I was just spent the whole game and they just kind of ignored me. And I just didn't even know what I was doing. And yeah, that was my one and only experience. I played Roll a couple times, not enough to remember it, but whatever. So again, this falls into the when I sorted the games on BGG by rank, one of the higher ranked games that again wouldn't really consider a Tableau builder, but it does have Tableau building, is Scythe.
Oh yeah.
In Scythe, you have your player board, and instead of collecting things in front of you, you are actually removing things from the board to get better and better powers and get better economy out of your actions. So again, I see Eric trying to figure it out. How is this a Tableau? And I don't know, but it fit in the damn category, so I ran with it because it's the only other one that I could pick.
You're leveling up your private actions, so you're
leveling up your actions. So most people they think of.
I mean, that's a very good game. I'm not going to argue about the game, but you're not adding anything. You're just moving things around.
You're removing things from your from your board to get better actions. And by the definition of BGG, it's you're improving your quality of game of actions through your Tableau, which is what you're doing. You're getting stuff off of your board to get better economy.
Just think about it, Erock. If you moved another mech out and that let you take some tile that you put in front of you that gave you some ability, you would say that's a Tableau builder. This is doing that just in a streamlined way.
Interesting. Okay. I grant the validity, but I would have never just thought of this. If you'd have given me 10 years to make a list of Tableau builders, this would not have been on it.
Well, and that's what I said. When I went through the list, most of the games that were on there, the Terraforming Mars, the most of the stuff you guys have described, I haven't played or don't want to play because it's not my style of game, because it's like Terraforming Mars. I was like, there's no Tableau builders I like. But when I sorted the games by rank, up near the top was Terraforming Mars. And then like in number 3 or 4, Scythe was there right next to Marvel Champions. So I had to kind of think, why is this a Tableau builder? And it's because you have that player board. And as you go through the game, the actions you take get better when you can start uncovering stuff from your board and getting it out onto the main board in front of you. So this is one of those games that I don't know what it really classifies as, because it looks like it's kind of a dudes on a map war game, but you don't really fight. There is some worker placement strategy to it, but you're not really taking advantage of spaces on the board. It's mostly action selection because you're taking an action. So it's got all these weird little things that are kind of thrown into this big mix that it's just kind of the state of how games are now. Like there's no straight up, this is just a Tableau builder, or it's just a deck builder, or whatever. They kind of mix and match things now. So the idea is you are different warring nations, or trying to not war. It's more like a Cold War game. You're trying to collect resources and build stuff to get victory points by completing goals, winning. There's a bunch of different ways you can get the victory points, but it comes down to like winning stuff through like area control. And it's been a while since I played it. I don't think I've ever won it, but I do enjoy it. And it's got one of my other favorite mechanisms, which is asymmetrical powers.
Yeah,
because
that's
all those
true.
player boards are different. It's the same actions, but they're paired up differently because you have a top row and a bottom row of actions. And whenever you take those actions, you can choose to take just the top or just the bottom, or you can take both, assuming you can afford to pay for them. And like I said, as you go through the game, you're basically unlocking better stuff on your player board. The more resources and stuff you get, the more you can pay for. You can unlock stuff to get better and better actions, so that instead of moving and only being able to move 2 people, now I can move 3 of my people around on the map. Instead of gaining 1 coin, I can gain 2 coins. So is it tableau building? I guess it's more of an action selection game, but if you're like me and you're kind of averse to a lot of these styles of games that are on there, that are classic tableau builders, this kind of fills in there because it's like a reverse tableau builder because you're getting stuff off of your board instead of bringing stuff to your board. So yeah, that's my out there left field pick, Scythe.
That's an interesting observation about Scythe. I think generally speaking, the thing that makes Scythe unique is that it does a whole bunch of things differently than you're used to. And I think that's a good example of it. Being a tableau builder, but not a traditional one like you normally think of one. When you get resources, you don't pile them in front of you. They stay on the map and you carry them around with you and stuff. So, and there is battle, like you said, but except for one nation, there's no point battling more than twice because now you've got both stars and you're not going to get any more.
No, you just said it. There's plenty of reasons to battle. I will come take your resources. I will take that central factory from you. I fight plenty when I play this game.
Interesting. But, just saying, I like your choice. And I like the way you reasoned it out because I think that's Scythe in a nutshell. Is it does a lot of things you're used to in a lot of ways you're not used to it doing them. So, cool.
All right.
To call the judges.
Well, when you said worker placement, I had to call the judges because it's not that. It's action selection, but that's all right.
I meant the worker because you put them on the board.
Because it's one worker and you're taking
advantage
of.
Yeah. Dudes on a map with meeples.
Yeah. All right. Well, my number 2 game is from a franchise, and it is the Manhattan Project Energy Empire. Not entirely sure why it's the Manhattan Project. It's just got some similar artwork, I guess. I don't know. The 2 games don't necessarily go that well together when you compare them. Actually, Energy Empire has all the different unique artwork for the different workers, but then they're the same. They're not unique like they are in some of the other games, like unique abilities or whatever. So anyway, it definitely has this worker placement thing going on. But one of the interesting things about the worker placement is there's a commerce section. I think it's called market. There's commerce section, industry, and government. And when you place a worker in one of those zones, then you get to activate all of the structures. They're called structures in your Tableau that fit that same category. So you're building up this sort of engine. I'm going to go here to the government thing to do this and get this benefit. And that allows me to activate this and this and this. And there's a lot of stuff going on in this game. There's dice. You get dice to roll. You can have permanent dice, or you can buy dice with like oil barrels. And there's 5 different kinds of dice. And they go from, say, greener to more polluting, and you have to deal with the pollution. So I think the greenest is the solar, the green dice. They don't generate as much power, but they don't generate any pollution. And then there's the hydropower ones, which are blue. Again, more power, and then maybe some chance to generate pollution. And then there's like coal and then oil, and they are a lot more likely to do pollution. And then there's the nuclear ones, which generate a lot of power, but they generate radiation as a special type of pollution, which basically takes twice as much to clean up when you get those on your board. You put oil derricks on your board, you put pollution tokens on your board, you put radiation on your board, and you have to clean those up to score, points. But the real heart of the game, the real way that you win the game is by building this engine in your Tableau. People could try to block you from sort of activating your engine. They're like, well, we'll fill up the government spaces now. You can't choose a government space to activate it, but you can use energy that you've generated to sort of level up your worker to use a space that somebody else has already used. So yeah, it's got a lot of cool mechanisms going on. Some people, I think, might be turned off that it's a worker placement game that has dice rolling in it. Like there's this randomness with the pollution generation, but I don't know. I find it pretty interesting. And yeah, it has other quirks too. Like when you go to recall your workers, you lose any energy that you had left over, but you can use that leftover energy or any workers you didn't use when you pulled back to take essentially an achievement that gives you ways to score money or score points at the end of the game. I think that's sort of interesting. Make a little extra layer to the when do I pull back thing going on. In most worker placement games have some kind of pullback, mechanism. So anyway, I'm really happy with the Manhattan Project Energy Empire. It's a Luke Laurie game. I've talked about Luke Laurie before, like a lot of his games, Whistle Mountain, Dwellings of Elder Vale. I have Cryo, but I haven't played it yet. So looking forward to doing that. I mean, basically at this point, if Luke Laurie's name is on a box, I will buy the game. And, like whatever.
Fanboy.
Maybe I won't. Yeah, I basically, right? But like he's done enough good work that I can just say, look, I see that thing's on sale. I'll just buy it. And, maybe I won't like it. So what, I'll find somebody who likes it. But yeah, not a lot of designers that I'm just intrigued by seeing their name on a box, but Luke Laurie is one of them. So anyway, yeah, Manhattan Project Energy Empire is my number 2.
I have never played that. So interesting.
Yeah, I think actually you would enjoy it. Lloyd, you might like it too.
We played it. We reviewed it on the channel a long time ago.
Oh, did we? Did we play it at the Cloak and Blaster? Way back when? Okay. All right, cool.
Dude, I won't say anything, but you can go back and look at that review and see if I liked it or not. I probably didn't.
I don't even know if I was in that review. Like I can't even remember.
I don't know. Maybe not. Because who put that out? That was
what's the same? Yeah, Minion. Same people that did all the Manhattan Project games. There's like 3 or 4 of them. I know there's at least 3.
At least 3.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, that's my number 2. Really like how you have those. You're basically building 3 separate tableaus: government, industrial, and commerce, and you trigger them at different points depending on what you do with your worker placement.
Interesting.
Right.
That total off track segue, but that reminded me of Kashgar, which is a deck builder in which you build 3 separate decks. So, interesting.
What was that called?
Piqued my interest. Kashgar.
Kashgar?
You said build decks, and Lloyd's like, huh? What?
Whoa. Well, I like different takes on deck builders. I don't like boring, like the same thing. I like
Kashgar is a unique take on deck builders, that's for sure.
Yeah, Babe likes it a lot, I know. I mean, I'm not trying to put words in her mouth, but, we've played Kashgar quite a bit. It's an interesting little game. Not that we just went off on this huge tangent in the middle of this recording and all that, but you should try it. It's really cool.
While we were off on a tangent, I am calling shenanigans. I am calling shenanigans on Tiffany because Space Base is a Tableau builder. And that is what? Like your favorite game of all time?
It is my favorite game of all time, yes. I just can't get on board. When they hand you the Tableau, to start with, I'm like, no.
You mean like in Scythe?
Well, I disagree on Scythe, but it's been too long since I've played it for me to really speak intelligently on it. So I kept my mouth shut.
So in your favorite games of all time, where does Terraforming Mars fall?
Number 2. I know.
That is also a Tableau builder.
I know.
But I bring up
she's like, it's going to get mentioned. Let me talk about 2 other things.
I bring up Terraforming Mars because far and away, number 1 in the poll, people's choice, Tableau builder, Terraforming Mars.
Go figure.
All right. Hey, Tiffany, do you want to tell us about Terraforming Mars?
Sure. Terraforming Mars is a phenomenal game. It is apparently a Tableau builder, where you are getting cards and you are building your Tableau in front of you, but you're also trying to terraform Mars, as the name suggests. And you're building cards with tags on them, and you're trying to develop combos that you can use each round, and different action selection options that you can activate each round to build off of each other, whether you're going a science route, or you might be going a biology route, or you might be going an industrial route. But whichever route you choose, you're using those actions each turn to try to make the most. You're trying to, be the most efficient that you can each round. It's one of those that people go out when they're done, and you might have 3-4 more rounds than another person because you just have that many actions available to you, and good for you. But it's a really great game that it's super popular. And if I thought that there was any way it wasn't going to be people's choice, I would have said it, but I knew it was going to get mentioned. So I didn't pick it.
Yes. Yeah, embrace the cheating. Embrace the cheating.
Terraforming Mars could have easily been my number 2 as well, right? But I did want to talk about sort of the unique take on it from Energy Empire. And of course, I knew that Terraforming Mars was the people's number 1. So that's not really shenanigans, right? I did the same thing, so it doesn't count.
Indeed.
But
as did I with Race. Same thing.
Yeah. Terraforming Mars, though, it's really the interplay between the tags that makes it feel like a real Tableau game, right? Because that picture that you have in front of you, all your cards and how all the tags interplay, the sort of engine building you've got going on there is really at the heart of that game. And I'm not surprised it was the people's choice number 1. What I am surprised about is there is a very, very popular Tableau builder from the last several years that it shows up in all kinds of polls about all kinds of things.
I'm on the same. I'm with you. Wingspan should be on this list.
Wingspan didn't get a single vote from
Wingspan is a
polls.
Fantastic. Actually, it did, but it was probably after you looked. I'm very late to the Facebook poll party for this one.
Your votes don't count.
But I added that
votes don't count
today. I was like, I cannot believe Wingspan's not on here. How is Wingspan not on here? Wingspan's great. If I didn't have my own little pet projects to talk about, I absolutely would have had Wingspan as one of my top 2. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Wingspan is another good choice. So if you're looking for super popular Tableau builders,
I actually thought about it all afternoon. I think the reason that nobody mentioned it is because it gives you a board to play your cards on. So it doesn't feel like a Tableau builder because you're not just out here on the table putting down cards in these rows and stuff like the ones you're thinking about as a Tableau builder. It gives you a board and specific spots to place them in. So somehow it just doesn't feel like that, but it absolutely is. It's the same as all the other ones. You're building an engine, and not to cut myself off and go off on another tangent here, but quite frankly, I think when you say engine builder, I immediately go to Tableau builder. Like that's a direct correlation for me.
It is true that probably most of the things that you think of as engine builders are Tableau builders. However, you could argue that deck building is engine building.
Indeed.
And that is not a Tableau.
I agree. I'm not saying for sure and definitively it's exclusively this, but I am saying for absolutely in my mind, when somebody says engine builder, the absolute first and primary thing I think of is a Tableau builder because it's right there in front of you. You are literally building it right there in front of you and watching the progress as the game goes.
I conflate the same thing, right? Like the Tableau, the stuff that I'm putting in front of me needs to level up my abilities in some way. And so therefore it's an engine builder, right?
Yep.
You're looking at ways to get synergies between those things. And so, all right. Well, if you're enjoying these gaming through mechanisms videos and
the tangents,
if there is a specific mechanism or tangent you would like us to address in a future video, why don't you come over to our Discord channel? The link to our Discord channel is in the description below this video. Come in there and you can suggest. Like I said, this Tableau builder was just a suggestion from a fan that this is the next video we should do. So we did it. There are links to all of our other social media accounts there, so you can follow us wherever you want to. Facebook and Discord is where we do the polls for the people's choice for these as well. So if you want to come vote on those, and if you just want to tell us like, what about this game? What about that game? Or no, Lloyd, Scythe is not a Tableau builder, or whatever you want to say, just put the comment in the YouTube video, come over to the Discord, go to the Facebook group. Lloyd will be happy to argue with you.
Listen, BGG backs me up.
Oh, don't get me started. BGG is not the arbiter of all truth in the universe.
That's fine. Thank you for that. Yes.
I mean, until they're a sponsor of this video. Then I'll change my tune. No.
Yes.
All right. Well, anyway, this is Gaming Through Mechanisms, Tableau Builders. I'm Steven. Somewhere around here is Erock, Tiffany, Lloyd. We are Just Got Played, and thanks for joining us.
Indeed. See you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Indeed. Jolly.
Bye.
Tally ho.
Indubitably, sir.
Indubitably.